going to get it because I warned all of you against violence. Now, which one of you wrecked that building across the lot? Keith raised his... Did you do that, Keith?
Leland said you'd say something about
that. Write down a sentence, Leland. Leland, the perceptive prophet.
I think everyone should write that one.
Give him a little lead and he takes the whole business. Falsehood has a lot to say about the enemy. Falsehood has a lot to say about the enemy. Falsehood will insist, will lie to you, and tell you 1,000 lies about the enemy. Falsehood will tell you that the enemy is outside. It will lie and tell you that the enemy can be conquered by your own mental efforts. Falsehood would lie and tell you that the enemy must be conquered. It would tell you that the enemy has to be hated. And it will give you 1,001 descriptions of the enemy. 1,000,001 descriptions of the enemy. Falsehood is talking to us all the time, sometimes shouting, sometimes whispering, sometimes overtly, sometimes very subtly, and telling you that the enemy is something that stands in your way, that blocks your happiness. The enemy is some human being who doesn't give you what you want, what you claim is your right. The enemy is something that you must set yourself into opposition against, and then work real hard and try to win over that enemy, whatever he or it may be, so that when you conquer this enemy, you will be happy. The conquest of the enemy will make you superior to the enemy. Then there's no more threats, nothing to scare you anymore, and you'll be very happy. Falsehood, you remember this truth now from the very start this evening. That falsehood always tells you lies about who the enemy is, what he's doing, and strives constantly to keep you deceived into thinking endlessly and incorrectly about what it has claimed is your enemy. Falsehood knows that it's enough to get you thinking in a certain mechanical, emotional track about the opposition. All that has to do is make the slightest suggestion that that person who passed you on the street is one of your enemies, or that friend or that wife or member of the family is your enemy who must be conquered, or at least, if the best you can do, is keep this person at bay, to keep them back from threatening you. So the lies that falsehood tells you are really a very, very subtle and very, very deep form of deception, which will prevent you from actually winning in life by giving you a wrong, false idea of what it means to win. Now, as long as we continue to be deceived as to what it means to win, we will always have the hope, the expectation, the illusion of winning something, a lot of money, winning respect, winning companionship, whatever. We'll always have the hope and expectation of winning for ourselves, but never, never, never grasping it. Never coming to an end of this battle that we've talked so much about. But lies, the devil, darkness, knows our unevolvement. It knows how weak we are, how suggestible we are. It knows that if we can be deceived into thinking that there are enemies, and if they can be conquered, then all will be well, then it'll keep us in the squirrel's cage. It'll keep us going round and round and round, getting tireder, getting more frantic questions, getting in despair. It knows that it can succeed because it has succeeded for millions of years and with billions of human beings. So the first basic point to remember tonight is that falsehood tells endless lies about the enemy. And every time it says this, every time it repeats it, every time it drills it into our weak little brains, we think, enemy, enemy, enemy. Therefore, someone to win, someone to conquer over, then I'll be happy. This is our downfall. The thinking that I have an enemy to defeat, the thinking that I have an enemy to defeat, that rival in love, that rival for the promotion, thinking that I have an enemy to defeat is the enemy itself. Now we switch over and see that truth also has a lot of things to say about opposition, about enemy, about things out there in the world as well as things in here. Look at a little of them, a few of them. Truth says the enemy is within. Falsehood said it was out there, didn't it? It doesn't want you to look inside. That's dangerous to falsehood if you look inside. So truth says the enemy is within. Truth says the enemy is our own ignorance, our own self-deception, our own unevolved psychological state, our own unevolved spiritual state. Truth says that the enemy is nothing more than a wrong way of thinking, which, if we can delve into it, understand it thoroughly, then that wrong way of thinking will disappear. And instead of thinking in terms of enemies, friends for that matter, because the two go together, instead of thinking in opposites at all, that I must get this in order to be happy, or I must get rid of that in order to avoid the threat, if I cease to think in opposites on the intellectual plane, if I cease to do that, then there is no one here to be threatened by that opposite out there. Also, there is no one here who can feel fulfilled by getting that raise, by getting that money, by getting that reward, by getting that woman, by getting that man. Look where we are in just a few minutes. We're at the point where we see that real winning, real victory, is to have no thoughts about it at all. Is to have no entity there that thinks, now you listen, that even thinks it has to find self-deliverance. Don't you know what you're doing to yourself? Don't you see how you swallowed whole everything I talked about in the first part of the talk? You swallowed whole the idea, the mere idea, that the enemy is out there, that the enemy has power, and that someone has to defeat that enemy. Think. What if there was no one inside me, inside you, who had to defeat an enemy? Wouldn't that destroy the quote mark enemy right now? By destroying the belief, the concept, the idea, the desperation that there's something out there to win or something that can defeat me. Now with that a little bit even in mind, I can get up in the morning and I can go about my business. I can talk to my wife or husband, take care of the family. I can go down to work. I can read the newspaper. I can go to the party or not go to the party. I can engage in whatever social activities I want to or don't want to engage in. But I am free wherever I go, because in the first place, I'm not going there compulsively trying to get something out of it, because there's nothing there out there to give me, and therefore nothing there to defeat me. So wherever I go, I'm saying this. If I understand that a free mind, a mind that's not thinking in terms of enemies or friends, if I go anywhere and meet any kind of event, any kind of a situation where there's going to be a self-reaction. There can't be a self-reaction if there's inside of me there's the absence of someone to react. How am I going to complain, really complain, that enemy, that opposition out there is going to take something away from me? What's it going to take? Having seen that in reality, that on a higher plane than the opposites, what I verbalize, what I think in higher thinking is me, that person who I understand, not think about. If I think about, I recreate the person and then he is enemies. If I see that there is a whole person here, not thinking in terms of defeating the enemy or fearfully getting defeated by the enemy, if there is no one there to think about it, and I understand thoroughly that there's no one there, I'm a whole person, and there's no one there. Now you listen to this, some of you, all of you. I see that there is not now and never was in reality, in truth, someone there to worry, to be frantic, to be fearful about saving myself. Now don't you lie to me. All of you are fearful that you're not going to make it. You're worried that the enemy is too much for you and you don't know you are creating him. Did you hear what I just said? You're scared sick that you are not going to live long enough to get this. You're scared, petrified, that you don't have the intelligence or the drive or the persistence or the decency or whatever you call it to understand these things. Man, woman, listening to me here now, why don't you turn your attention back, turn your intelligence back on yourself, and see when you sob and cry that you're not going to make it, that is the enemy that has deceived you, and that's why you don't make it. I talk to a lot of you, and I know how very sickly precious to you. I know how sickly valuable to you is the idea that you are not going to succeed, that you are not going to become spiritual, that you're not going to find all these truths that we're talking about here. You are dreadfully afraid that someone or something that is blocking you now is going to continue to block you in the future. And so you think in time and in years, and you go into desperation, and you say, I hope I get it before it's too late. You know, let me tell you what the problem is here. I have for you the most marvelous news of the ages. I have for you the only beautiful thing that you really want to have. But I can't tell you. I can't reach you. I can give you words about it. I can describe it as best words can describe. And I can tell you honestly that each one of you in this room and listening to this tape, that you can indeed make it. Now you want to ask how long? Now you want to say, do you think I could make it in another year or with extra effort in 6 months? I'm telling you, you can make it now. And look, if I have to help you by going to clock time, then I'll do it. You can make it right now, which is 16 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday evening. You can make it now and save yourself years of misery, years of heartache, if you will stop listening to the lies that you have been told, outwardly, of course, and that you have picked up and treasured so much because they seem to give you something, yet you can't figure out what reward you're getting out of it. But you have picked up these lies and you're repeating them endlessly, not knowing that they are lies, because on top of that lie is the lie of saying, if you investigate and see the falsehood that you have permitted to take you over, if you see that, another lie says, that's the end of you. If your hearing is good, if your spiritual hearing is acute, the next time you hear that lie that says, if you give up this course you're presently following, that will be the end of you, you reply, Amen. See, you suspect, don't you, a little bit, what we're getting at? Don't you suspect that all these lies we have swallowed have a lie, have another lie on top of the first one, and then a third lie, then a fourth lie, which is why you have to begin to dig down and pull off layer after layer after layer. And I have given you the final lie, which if it is put out of the way, if that wall is destroyed, you destroy opposites thinking, and you will then see and be something else. Now let's see again from a little different viewpoint what this master lie is. The cruelest lie of all, which is, if I give up my desperation, the lie is, if I give up my desperation, that will be the end of me. Yes. Now, when you go out of here, I want you to think of how you have refused with all the power, with all the memory, with all the might, with all the desperation, with all the franticness you have in you. You have refused to stop fighting for yourself. You have refused to stop fighting for yourself because you still take yourself as being real and eternal. I am telling you that the self you are now fighting to save, to keep going, is the present death of you. The self that you won't just drop by dropping thoughts, by dropping emotions, by dropping lies, by dropping memory, by dropping by dropping labels. That self that you refuse to give up is presently the only voice that is talking to you that you can hear. When you're in pain and sorrow and agony and want to scream and say, "How can I get out?" You look at that state and don't you let anything in you lie about the nature of the state that says, "Oh my God, what's happening to me?" Don't you dare let anything lie to you. The desperation, my God, what is happening to me is part of the master lie that keeps you saying that every day to yourself, and every 10th day to someone else if you've got someone to cry on their shoulder. The next time you get desperate over your inability to learn anything, to do anything different, to rise to a higher level, to break out of prison, the next time you get desperate, I am going to give you an order right now. I order you to look at that desperation and, for heaven's sake, stop loving it. Don't you know what you're doing every time you bawl? Every time you cry? Every time you secretly hate yourself and hate everyone else? That's your desperation. I'll tell you. Your desperation over being in inner prison, your desperation over being in inner prison is what reconstructs it every minute. Cease to cry. Cease to sob over your salvation, and it will be there. This gentleman, this lady, the rest of you, when you see clearly, not thinking about it, when you see clearly that there's no one there to save, there is salvation way up here, not down here where you want it. You know what you want salvation from? You want salvation from the enemy, so that the next time you meet him, you can win and keep your sense of self in place. You refuse to give up your enemies. You refuse to give up the lies. You refuse to give up oppositions, because with the ending of the opposition, there's the ending of you. Now, I'm going to ask all of you to think about your past life. Just do it deliberately. That's fine. That's good. You're doing it with a purpose, a good purpose. I want you to think about your past life, and I want you to think about how you have come here to this group and how you have read books and listened to tapes. Now I want you to think about the tremors that you have of how you're afraid of society, and you're afraid of people, and you're afraid of yourself, you're afraid of your own stupidity. Good heavens, what dumb thing, what dangerous thing, what painful thing will I do next? Right? All right. I want you to think about all that. And then I want you to know that your illusory thinking toward it is what is preventing you from finding yourself in reality. Your illusory thinking simply means this. It means when you think about your past mistakes, when you think about yourself, examining yourself, and you see all these stupidities and all your mistakes, then thinking about it incorrectly, that is with a sense of self, you perpetuate and keep going, first in memory, the pain of thinking about that dumb thing you did, and you guarantee that it will happen again tomorrow. Because the devil, the darkness that led you into that stupid self-defeating behavior 5 years ago, 1 year ago, the very fact that you believe in it, that you have pain over it, that you fear it, that you even regret it, the fact that you are thinking about it incorrectly in any way at all is the very thing that's keeping it alive to attack you and cause you to fall down again and get hurt again tomorrow and a year from now. Now, I've told you a number of things, every one of them beautiful. Now I'll tell you one more thing, and then we'll have a break. Please, for your sake, cease to value the agitation you have in trying to rescue yourself. There is rescue of yourself, and I am telling you that as a fact. You can be rescued from the present kind of lost, miserable, confused life, which you hide from everybody. You know that. You hide it from your wife. She thinks you're you're not. You're scared. Oh, you're a scared little kid. And tears come to your eyes, and you turn your head away so nobody sees, don't you? If you will, a little bit at a time, not be enamored of your own agony over not finding yourself, if you will not value it, you will lose yourself and therefore find yourself. And you don't have to know what it means to find yourself. If you do that, you know what will happen, don't you? We've gone over that enough times. You'll go into imagination as to what the other shore is like, what you're going to be like. And let me tell you that you're going to waste many, many years. You'll even come up to me, as people always do, and tell me how happy they were that they found the truth, and the next day they're sad again, they're depressed. I want you to tell me something. Don't you wiggle out of this. I want you to tell me thoroughly, specifically, and very personally the value of your agony. I want you to enumerate all the values of your agony, both in general life and the pain and the despair you have over not being able to straighten yourself out. I want you, look, now don't you wiggle out. I know what's happening. I know you've already tried. I know that you've done it. I know. And I'm going to bring you right back so that you can't get out of it. you sit there and lie. You tell me what good, what value, what benefit you have in your secret pain. Come on. If you tell me, you are lying. Don't you let the liar in you get away with it anymore. Now, we've called the bluff on it. I've called the bluff on it within the last 60 seconds. Now, you take over from here, and don't you dare let the liar in you give you an answer. And the first answer the liar in you will give is, something bad will happen to you if you give up your agony, if you give up your suffering, if you give up your pain, if you give up your sorrow. That is a lie, and I command you to begin to see it as the lie. And I don't care how much you tremble at the start. Begin to tell off the devil when he pulls that one on you again. You go ahead and tremble all you want, but you do it. And you'll see something different happening inside of you. One thing that will happen inside of you is that you'll begin to make connections between the thousands of ideas that we've had in this class. Pieces of the jigsaw puzzle will come together, and that results in that beautiful, marvelous, non-conflict state called understanding, called inner liberty, called calling the bluff and succeeding in calling the bluff on darkness. All of you are bluffed. And you're so stupid, you won't even ally yourself with truth to let it call the bluff for you. Stupidity and love of darkness being the same thing. Right. There is intelligence in the universe. There is intelligence in human beings. Any human being in this room who wants to invite this intelligence to do for him what he can't do for himself, that prayer, that request will be answered. This light, this intelligence will then be this little bit of courage so that you begin to say to the devil, to the darkness, to falsehood, you have lied to me up to this point of my life. You've made my life the hell that it is. I am not going to listen to you anymore. I'm going to try to listen as best I can to something else. You go ahead, shout and scream and threaten me all you want. You just go right ahead. And it will, because that's its nature. It can't do anything but that. Mechanicalness can't do anything but mechanical. But your conscious defiance of darkness, is the invitation to truth to do for you, to be your strength, the strength that you've always wanted. You see, you wanted your strength. You wanted to be the conqueror, to conquer the enemy. We didn't succeed. Now something new. With all of this comes the understanding that we want. And if you have any questions or comments about what we've talked about, we'll take it after the break, which is now. You are on for questions. Keep them short, to the point. Give a speech, Joe. Raise your hand high, please. Yes, Tom.
Is it true that we presently have a great deal to learn right in the circumstances we're presently in?
Yes, right in this room.
Okay, my question was not pinpoint. It's true that in our domestic situation that we're presently in, our domestic situation at home, if you're married, in other words, or if you're single, that you, in that situation, you have a great deal to learn right now without trying to run away from it.
Oh, yes. Look. Write down a sentence. I am always with my neurosis. That's where you're going to work. Don't you take it wherever you go? How many take your sickness with you wherever you go? Thought maybe you left it home in the closet. Yes, that's why we can work wherever we are. Wherever I am is the horror. Linda.
Joe made a statement, see if there is any anxiety, or what was the other word in the question?
Irritation.
Oh.
I want to try again.
Try again.
A man has a wife, a family. He doesn't, because part of him wants to run away. That's not right. You know, a man doesn't desert his family because part of him wants to be a vagabond.
That is correct. You must take your responsibilities.
Okay, take it.
That's correct.
Vernon, does falsehood always consist of pressure? Certain pressures from outside?
Well, not from outside, from inside out, not from outside in. Nobody in their life ever really pressured you at all. Nobody, at no time, nowhere. You took the situation wrongly, inwardly, and that's where the pressure was generated. Yeah.
I think what I meant, Vernon, was does the falsehood, does the falseness tell us that the pressure is from here or there, or societal incidents that want us to follow along, that puts a certain pressure? That's always false.
Oh, yes, yes. How can pressure ever be anything but wrong? Whether someone exerts it on me or I exert it on them, that's a very low level to live on, isn't it? How many of you, come on now, let's get a little honest here. Way down deep inside, how many of you take pleasure out of hurting other people? You know, the cutting remark, the look. What does that tell you about your level when you take pleasure in hurting someone else, torturing them? When you take pleasure in torturing another human being, for example, keeping them in the dark about something where to be perfectly normal and right to tell them about that, and you keep them in the dark because you sick little psycho that you are, you say, this is what they did to me. Now it's my turn to do it to you. You're just as sick as your father, as your mother, as your school teacher. Look at the powerful but false feeling you get over hurting someone. Look at it. And you're looking at poison. I saw something.
You answered Vernon.
Ah, fine, Alicia. Rudy, please.
The reason I love the agony of desperation is because I think I'm a pilgrim of the past.
All right, let me ask you a question. Who or what is stopping you along the path? Please tell me. Will you please tell me? I invite your responses. Who and what is stopping you?
Me and my neurosis.
I don't get it. You mean you permit it to?
Yes.
Why?
I can't answer.
You're in love with it. This is all you've got is your sickness. You won't let God take it away from you. I got it, but I went beyond it.
I can only live life one way. It's the way of doing it. And it's a pretty terrible way, but it's the force of habit. Can't live it any differently.
A sheep lives like a sheep, a goat like a goat, a hawk like a hawk. What's going to change that mechanical nature? Oh, maybe you're deceiving yourself. Did that ever occur to you? That you're deceiving yourself and pretending that you want to change. You can sit there for years and deceive yourself, but you don't kid me. I know that if you really wanted to change, if you had one real strong part in you that wanted to change, that could begin to break through. It couldn't fail to break through. You're so giddy-minded, so childish, so vicious. Some of you may not even be able to be ashamed of yourself. If I tell you you ought to be ashamed of yourself, no shame. You're surely not talking about me. Don't you know you're destroying the whole world? You are destroying the whole world. That is you. Therefore, you're destroying the whole world that is everyone else. You say, well, I don't shoot anybody. I don't say cutting remarks to people. You are doing it inwardly all day long. And the very fact that you live on the level of the dungeon gives aid and comfort to the enemy who also lives in the dungeon. Your very nature is an encouragement to the devil to stay as he is. Why don't you, look, why don't you try giving something out to the world other than your own self-centered desires? Why don't you try giving something out to the world outside of your own petty little self-centeredness? You know the answer to that, don't you? Such a thing is foreign to you. What do you mean? I'm all that exists. At least I'm all that exists to me. What are you talking about, give something out? I can only give what I am. That is true. You can only give what you are. I'm asking you, do you love your pain? Oh, I'm afraid so. Do you love your sarcasm? Do you love your sneering? Yes. And the average human being can hardly wait to get up in the morning to take his first glass of poison, to snap at his wife, or the wife to make her sarcastic remark, or to use the children in some way for their egotism, or to hate the kids for their egotism. And all day long, the drinking of the poison glasses go on and on and on. Well, that's not going to, what we're doing here in this room isn't going to change the world, is it? We're not talking about the world. What do you care about the world? You don't give 2 cents about anyone. You have no capacity to care about anyone. All you care about is to remain in your present state of constant self-destruction. That's what you care about, because that is what you live out all day long, and you know it. No one knows it better than you. You worry, you fret, you're insecure, you're scared, you're unsafe, and everything you do to try to make yourself feel safe makes you feel more threatened than before. Gordon.
During the chain of self-centered thought and thinking, I can't see that I'm doing that at the same time if I'm in it.
That is correct. That is correct. You have to slow down so that there's a seeing above the thought. You little cowards. You won't dare anything, will you? You're a pack of cowards, all of you. And you pack of cowards come here and have the nerve to try to kid me into thinking you want the truth. Cowards will not enter the kingdom. You're protecting trash. Wake up, you're protecting trash. Calling it rubies. All these sick thoughts you have inside of you, these revenge thoughts, these guilt thoughts, these hostile thoughts, you don't know it, but you are calling them not only your best friends, but your only real friends you have. How dumb can you get? That you won't explore the possibility of there being a way to live in which you don't have hatred, in which you don't have guilt. You miserable little creatures. You value your family, and your relatives, and your career, and your amusements. That is what you value above eternity. Well, I'll tell you something. You're going to get exactly what you're asking for.
Vernon, when you said we value our family, our career, when we come here from the classes and fall back in our daily habits, it becomes quite clear that I always handle the daily affairs the same. Because here I see a difference how things are handled and explained.
You handle it different in the class, did you say?
No, here I see a difference how it can be.
Oh, yes. Fine, yes, right.
I was going to say pretty much the same thing. I have to keep coming back to this class and being in this atmosphere to detect how far wrong I've gone.
Yes.
See
Come on. Look inside and see that you're 100 times more scared than you want to admit to yourself or anyone else. You big phony, you fake. Look, it's very easy. It's the easiest thing in the world to put on the proper facial expression and talk in a positive manner and read a lot of books and have the right phrases and all that. And you can convince your wife sometimes that you're not scared. You can convince your husband. You can convince someone. You can convince other people that you're in command of your life and you know where you're going. You can convince them because you're all playing the same game with each other. It's a mutual agreement. We'll lie to each other that we know what we're doing with our lives. Let's keep the lie up at all costs. And anyone who breaks the lie, you will immediately lose your friends. So which do you value more, the truth or your friends? Go ahead, please.
That is the difference between out in the world and here. Out there, everybody's calling their trash valuable, and everybody else is calling everybody else's trash valuable. We come here and we're simply told that our trash is trash.
Fine, yes. Stella, yes.
I can't get over the particular sickness of mine to want to please people and have people like me. And it just seems to snowball to such great proportions that I hate myself for being so weak and cowardly, feeling guilty to say no to somebody, and then wanting to spread my agony and my poison to other people. It's just a big snowballing thing.
Yes. I'll take that as a comment.
Sitting here under your direct gaze, I can feel the falseness in me just vibrating, just tearing me apart with fear. Fear of you, fear of the class, fear of the truth, fear of myself. Tremendous vibration inside.
Yes.
No way to destroy that unless I subject myself more and more to the light.
Oh, yes. Our purpose here is to shake us all up and not be embarrassed at all at the shaking we see in ourselves. God doesn't laugh at you. God does not ridicule you for falling apart. You do it. Your stupid friends might do it. God does not ridicule you. See, get to somebody here. You don't understand that God truly has compassion. But you can't know that because you don't have compassion. All you can do is have criticism of other people. Therefore, you project that onto what you call God, and there you go. And you are on. Mark, please.
Up till this point right now, my life living with myself today has been very horrible, but I still won't let go of it.
You run around with sick friends?
Yes.
Why?
Because I feel that there's an emptiness in me that I think can be filled up by them.
Shall I tell you something? Don't you think I'm getting religious on you? I'll never get religious on you. I'll get factual on you. Because I know how this sounds, but I'm going to do it anyway because it gets the point right over. There really, actually, truly, ladies, gentlemen here, there really, actually is such a thing as walking with God. When you walk with truth, the truth that's in you and therefore in the universe, therefore which is eternal, when you do that, then this problem that you spoke about and the problem that Stella spoke about won't exist, because you're then complete in that wholeness that's inside of you. And there's no ache to have approval of this person. There's no heartache over having lost that person or that position or that popularity or whatever. When you walk with God, that is all there is to it. It's done. And that's possible for you.
It seems to me there are only two things that I can introduce into my life that make it different from the ordinary horror chamber that it is. One is to come to this class, and the other is to try to be aware as much as possible during the day.
Well said. Why don't you, look, if you're scared, I give you permission to be scared. Come on, stop fighting it. Just go ahead and be scared. Go ahead. I urge you to be scared. Freely give you permission to be as terrified as you want to be. Go right ahead. 1, 2.
Enoch walked with God and was no more. Or Enoch walked with God and was no more. We're taught that we're something special by our parents, so forth and so on, and we believe it. We take it in 100%. And as we grow, we add to that special, individual, unique, that level of being, which is totally false. Believing it to the degree that we actually feel that we're right, correct, and comfortable, and have a hard time seeing our pain and our misery in it because of the teaching.
That's right. That's why we emphasize so much in this class. Look at yourself as you actually are, not as you imagine you are. Once you can see the horrible state, once you see the horrible state you're in, you can then go to the next stage of working intelligently on what you actually see. There are definitely stages. If you lie about the kind of a person you are sunk. If you think you're a good, fairly good, decent human being, you are a liar. And heaven help any man or woman who comes in contact with you.
This is very important to know that we can be as scared as we are, because I observe that the longer we're here, the more desperate the devil, in quote marks, becomes. The less inclined we are to be bluffed by him. I just observed this. The more desperate he becomes. That is, he keeps raising the level of rage.
Correct.
Constantly. Now, where this all ends, I really don't know. But I sense that we just can't let go. We can't. There's no going back.
Oh, no. The devil shakes himself to pieces if you want to know what happens. Let's make it worse.
I saw that a little bit that I'm a liar all the time, thinking that I'm right, and I tell it to myself in different ways than I tell it to other people outside of myself. Like, I'll tell people outside of myself, yes, I'm right, and try and convince them. But inside of myself, I'll cut them down and make myself right in a different way inside so that they can't see it. It's just an observation.
All right, fine. All right.
Earlier, you were talking about how we see people and we create enemies. Why do we have this need to, as soon as we meet someone, to classify them as a friend or an enemy?
Because that's the way your mind works in opposites. And I spoke a half hour on that. We're trying to live above the intellect spiritually. Then you can live on the intellect materially, which we do. If I didn't know the difference between that door and that door, I wouldn't know what to do. But I know that there's that door, I can go that one or that one, whichever one I want. I'm thinking in opposites, practical purposes. Yeah.
I noticed in me tonight there hasn't been any awkward silence in the class, only because my mind's been in about 10 places. And every time there's a silence, I've been having conversations.
Talking to yourself?
Right. I make good speeches for myself.
I saw someone. Tom, yeah.
A couple of days ago, I had to go get gasoline, and I pulled into the station, and there was a car full of drunk and rowdy people there. And ordinarily, I have in the past gone to another gas station or gone far away, but I pulled up right where I was pulling up, saw what the situation was, and just got the gas, and nothing happened. You know, I mean, I wasn't verbally, didn't get into any verbal battle or anything.
All right. As long as it's physically safe, that's a good exercise. As long as you're physically safe. I think we're going too fast, Pat. Let's slow down.
Detected another type of spiritual disguise recently, which is, since I've never been able to quite fit into an organization or a group or a family or what have you, there's a certain thrill in being the outsider, the person who can't fit. And in looking at coming to this class or coming up to Boulder City to live, I began to see that the ego self was getting sort of a charge out of being the one that couldn't fit into society and therefore had to go to this special spiritual school.
Okay. As an observation? Yeah. Okay.
Rocco is special.
Indeed it is. If you ever lose it, then maybe you'll get the feeling of it. Then what are you going to do? One, two.
I have to try again because I can't formulate things properly the first time. We have a right to walk through this world, to conduct our daily affairs, and not be in a state of fear and trembling. And
Okay, yes.
in so doing, in trying just to claim what is truly ours, you go to the store, you go get the gas, and if you are in a better state, you won't attract negativity, correct?
Yes, yes. Look, how many of you fight a lot?
Yeah.
Now keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. And then, come on, the rest of you raise your hands too. All right. Now, those of you who have your hands up, who fight a lot, how many of you like to fight a lot? You're getting what you like. Because fighting gives you something false, and that's what you're feeding off of. Agitation. See, when you're in a state of hatred, for example, look, it's so absorbing, isn't it? It's so emotional, so fiery. At that minute, you don't have to look at yourself. You've got a marvelous escape. That hatred is a great escape for facing what you should be facing. I don't have to face myself when I'm hating. Man, I've got something to do with myself, man. Zena.
I have caught my mind telling me that if I don't run my life, if I don't worry about certain situations, that, what's going to happen,
You talk to yourself, do you?
Well, I've caught my, I guess I do, but I've caught my mind, like I've, slowed down a little bit, that I've caught myself, my mind telling me that I've got to worry about this situation, because if I don't worry, who's going to worry about it?
If I really see what is wrong with me and swallow that, is that the pink pill?
Say that again, please.
Say I see and I really know what is wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I really look at it and then swallow it, whether I want to or not. Is that the pink pill that you sometimes speak of?
I didn't follow that. I'm sorry, Ann. Something with me, maybe, but I didn't follow that exactly.
You have often told us that you would give, if you gave us a pink pill
Yes.
to take away all of our
Problems. You wouldn't swallow.
wouldn't take it.
That's right.
That's because we won't look at the thing that is wrong with us.
Oh, that's right. Do you want your pain, and looking at it is anti-pain something. I don't know. Sometimes I give up too. Yes.
Like Ann said, if we were to truly see parts of what is truly wrong with us, and then are able to not, and do not identify with it. Like you say, allow yourself to be afraid. Don't hide from the fear.
Yes.
If I see the fear and feel the fear, and then don't identify with it.
Yes. All right. Do you remember? I brought in the opposites a good deal during the talk. If I get scared about something, another person say, I have to go talk to someone I'm afraid of. All right. If I just stay scared, and don't try to do anything about it. Don't think of thoughts, what I'm going to say to him when I meet him, or think maybe if I dress a certain way to impress him or her, whatever. If I don't do anything about my fear at all and just let it shake all at once, haven't I arrived at the state where there's pure fear without an opposite? Now, if there's no opposite to that fear, I can then introduce, or rather will be introduced, something higher, which is the observation of the light, which can pour itself onto that fear, and I can begin to understand it. But if I'm afraid and I start to do something about it, then what I do about it is equal fear. Now I have the agitation between this fearful thought and that fearful thought and that fearful thought and that fearful thought. Therefore, I'm caught on the level of thought all the time, am I not? But if I stay afraid, then I don't put any opposition in. I don't put a second thought in there. And by not putting the second thought in, the absence of the I'm afraid. Okay, I don't say, I understand that I must not say I'm going to do something about the fear. The absence of the second thought then pours light down on the shaking, on the trembling, and I can just stand there and I can watch myself shake, and that light will begin to dissolve it. You see, that is not me doing anything about my fear. When I do anything, I am the fear who's doing something about the fear, which keeps it going. If I do nothing about it, that is withdrawing me, the self-saver, from the situation, which lets God do the work, which who's the only one who can do it. See? Yes.
It seems like the only thing I can do with my fear is suppress it in some way or other.
Yes, that's doing something, isn't it?
That's the only thing I can do.
That's doing something about it. We have 5 minutes more. 1, 2.
There's a thought, and then an opposite. Fear, and then what to do about it, and then what else could I do about it? And if we slow the mind down to where there's a space between the thought, isn't that a lift?
Yes. Something besides thought can slip between there.
Steve said something that made a connection. All I can do is think in opposites about my fear.
Correct.
So to quit thinking in opposites about my fear, even that requires something that is above me, that is above my opposites. To stay with the fear requires something that's above thinking in opposites about it.
All right, write something down that'll connect with that and help you a little bit. And just think about it a little bit. Thought must become so utterly weary that it slows down. Thought must become so utterly weary, you know what weary of, trying to solve the problem, so utterly weary that it slows down. Then something else can come in. Have you ever noticed certain types of people are especially valuable for this? People who are fast talkers and fast thinkers and fast movers. They're going real fast all the time. That's a good example of how they are protecting themselves, protecting the end of their false self by keeping thought moving real fast all the time. Quick replies, always saying something, which is the opposite of thought slowing down. It's very difficult. You can understand how hard it would be to get through to a person like that. What do you care what people think of you? What are they thinking about? Who are they thinking about? See, I'll tell you, you know what we're going to do? We're going to trap ourselves all the way to heaven here. Somebody.
I got a phone call this morning, and the party on the other end said, "Is this?" Then they read out the number. And I think I did the right thing. I said, "Why do you want to know?" Just even why they wanted to know if that was the right number.
Uh-huh.
And then as the thing unfolded, it was just a telephone advertising campaign.
Yes.
And I just hung up.
No, that's good. Don't tell people your name, things like that. That's what you're getting at, aren't you?
Right.
Don't give personal information. No, don't do it. Don't let people make you feel guilty or something. Ask who they are. Who's calling, please? Sometimes Joan and I do that, and they hang up. someone who calls us about the meeting. We ask, who's this, please? And they get awful nervous. They're already disqualified from the class. They haven't even got here yet. Is that you, Chuck? Is that you I'm waving at? I'll wave.
Now, we look at fear, okay, a lot of times we see through the hope. You see the trembling, and then you see you're in a safe situation. How many times you got to see through that hope?
I don't want to discourage you. Over and over and over. We go over these lessons over and over and over until one beautiful day the little light appears up there. And you will know it's there. You will know you understand something. The pieces will come together. You'll be doing something in your house, maybe working on some little exercise you've been given. And all of a sudden, an idea that you heard here a year ago will connect with what you're doing, and you'll go like that. You'll see it. You feel threatened, don't you? Don't you? Out in the world and inwardly, don't you feel threatened? Look at all the enemies you are belovedly putting up with. You know, you don't take it that way. You don't take it that way at all. You don't even know that you're in love with the enemies that are inside you. You're putting up with what is wrecking your life, man, woman. Yes, Dorothy.
We are self-protective even when we sleep, aren't we?
Yes, because the mind is still working on that level of protection. Yeah. Even do you know that you understand, do you not, that bad dreams, fearful dreams, are still part of the self-protective process? This means that you're in love with being afraid, even in your sleep. And if you weren't in love with it, you wouldn't dream bad dreams. And as you get healthier, dreams will fade. Your nightmares will go away. Not overnight, but they'll go away. Good night.
Good night.